In the year of our Lord 1230, the Milaneseian Empire faced unrelenting pressure from their southern vassals. The Teutonic city of Antiochia was filled with unrest and resentment against the Milanesians and the emperor. This unrest spread to other vassals within the south, and even the Church of the Cross itself. The Lord of Antiochia, William III, began calling for independence for the Teutonics, with fiery speeches delivered within the Imperial Senate. His speeches and demands were quickly suppressed, and he was soon exiled from the Senate, as he and his fellow vassals were cast out from their senatorial seats. Thus William, having been pushed to the breaking point, declared Antiochia's independence, and declared war upon the Milanesian Empire, just as Lord Reinhard IV did during the First Milanesian Civil War. The Republic of Piedmont, the Lordship of Calnan, and even the Church itself followed suit in support of Antiochia. Immediately following the declaration of war on the 16th of October, the Emperor Wilhelm X and his 3 sons set out with an army to besiege Antiochia. Wilhelm gave his soldiers explicit orders to give no quarter, and he vowed that the southern vassals would never again see anything but annexation and punishment. Meanwhile, William set out with the Teutonic army, the Teutonic Order, and even much of Antiochia's garrison. He was hoping he could smash through the Emperor's army in a singular, decisive battle. Both forces set out with extremely professional and well-equipped armies, both hoping to destroy the other in one swift blow. In an attempt to draw the Emperor to his army rather than risk Antiochia, William III deliberately allowed Imperial scouts to survey his army, although he knew this would also mean the Emperor would know his full strength. Luckily, the bait worked, and the Emperor went in for the kill, diverting his army towards William's. The Emperor's sons initially pleaded with their father to reconsider, but ultimately followed him with their own army in support. Thus the 2 armies met at the small river Swissari. The Imperial army rested in the nearby town of Gruben, which sat just a mile from the river. The Teutonic army, instead of setting up in the town of Fakrin, set up their camp very close to the river and inside of Gruben. This greatly infuriated the Emperor, his anger towards the Teutonics still prevalent after their independence. The next day of October 19th, both armies set out for battle. Beforehand, a cardinal of the church persuaded both sides to speak diplomatically, in an attempt to prevent Christian on Christian bloodshed. As both armies slowly began to gather, Wilhelm and his sons rode to the edge of the river, while William and his captains rode to the opposite side. In the following exchange, both sides expressed their disdain for one another. Despite the cardinal's plea to cease hostilities, every demand the Teutonics gave was rejected by the emperor. The confrontation ended in bloodshed when an imperial crossbowman fired a bolt, killing one of William's captains, Sir Poltaine of Gabsburg. Both parties then rode back to their respective sides, as the battle would indeed go on. The imperial army had the high ground and moved to defend the 2 river crossings, which were nothing more than shallow water in the deep, violent river. If the Teutonics wanted to destroy the imperial army, they would have to funnel across the 2 crossings, as the rapids would wash away any soldier that had tried crossing elsewhere along the river. Despite this, William was unperturbed and formulated his plan. His knights were unmatched on the field, and both sides knew it. Yet trying to cross the river in a cavalry charge would be suicidal, even with the knights' heavy armor. The emperor had positioned his army on the right flank's crossing, while his 3 sons held the left. Assaulting both at once would be detrimental to the Teutonic army, therefore only one could be faced at a time. Yet the potential of the second army crossing and encircling them was prevalent. Therefore, William conducted a brilliant counter-strategy. His infantry would assault the emperor's army in the crossing, meanwhile his large cavalry force would stand in wait across from the right crossing. If the emperor's sons crossed the river to try and encircle, they would be torn apart by the cavalry. William delivered a speech to his men, urging his men to pray to Christ for the victory, and to fight like beasts. He placed his second-in-command, Kleinhofer, in charge of the cavalry, ensuring they would not strike prematurely. William famously declared, "By spear, or sword, or mace, I shall not die with the air of defeat in my lungs." Then, after giving his final words of encouragement, William spurred the army forth towards the right crossing.